Viewer discretion is advised.
Oh shit. You're drunk, so I can lock you up. You just 1050 another car. Can't drive so fast now, can you, dickhead? Oh fuck. Dude, you're gonna get fucking tased. Oh, I just got fucking hit. Oh shit. No fucking way. What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna show you how to install 0.4 for LSPDFR today. I have a video on how to install 0.3. The link will be in the description for that. I highly recommend you watch it first before you start to do this because it'll actually kind of progress and move you forward. There's a few things that you're going to have to pay attention to versus what you can do with 0.3. The biggest thing is a lot of your plugins, like your callouts and anything that is a plugin for LSPDFR, if it is meant for 0.3, it will not work for 0.4. So first thing you're going to want to do is go to lspdfr.com, click on, the LSPDFR 0.04 or 0.4 tab, and you're going to want to download 0.4, obviously. In my other video, I show you how to do it manually. This one is going to be a little bit different because with the installer for 0.4, they actually go through and remove everything that is based around 0.3. So it'll go through and pull all the files. It really depends on how you guys have it done. If you have multiple copies, make sure that it still pulls everything because 0.4 is at the point right now where you can get on it, you can play it. There's plenty of stuff that you can add to it. A couple weeks ago when it first launched, it was rather difficult because there was really nothing around. There was nothing available. So you're going to want to download LSPDFR 0.4. Just do the automatic one. You'll know why it's so much easier. You're going to want to download the newest Rage plugin hook. All these links are going to be in the description, so that way you guys can just click on them and go. And then the next thing you're going to want to download is going to be Script Hook V. Once you get all three of those downloaded, you can go ahead and install them. The order in which I would do it would be LSPDFR, Rage plugin, Script Hook V. Once we go through everything, I'll show you guys kind of what I'm meaning. I know I did go through this before in my 0.3 install video, but we'll go ahead and get those extracted to our desktop. I already have it installed and I'm not going to reinstall it on my game, so I'm just going to basically like mock install just so that way you guys, kind of have an idea. Obviously, if anyone has any experience modding GTA at all, it's going to be simple. So you're going to want to get to your root folder. Most likely most people have it from Steam, so it's going to be somewhere, if you don't know where it's at, you're going to have to look either through Steam, they'll tell you where it's at. If you only have one hard drive, it's going to be easier because it's going to be under your Steam library, and then you're going to click on Steam Apps, Common, and then GTA 5 will pop up. So this is going to be your root directory for the game. So what you're going to want to do is open up the LSPDFR setup folder, and there's just an exe. All you have to do is run it. It'll walk you through a bunch of different things. And if you have 0.3 installed, they do recommend that it's done on a clean copy because there is going to be some plugins that more than likely aren't going to work. So you can either do it that way. This will, if you know what isn't going to work, then you can take that out. But if you know what's not going to work, chances are you're probably not going to be watching this video because you're already going to know what to do. If you're new to this, if you're wanting to just get into LSPDFR, make sure you have a clean copy. And by that, I mean uninstall GTA 5. If you have a previously modded one that just isn't working or something's fucked up, uninstall it through Steam, delete everything in your in your Steam folder. Also make sure you go to Documents, and under Rockstar Games, you're going to want to make sure that, you can keep your save file so you don't have to delete the GTA 5. Just delete the social club. For whatever reason, I've always had an issue where if I don't delete social club, nothing reinstalls properly. It could be a glitch on what I'm doing, I don't know. But reinstall it and get to your GTA 5 to a clean point. Then when you run point 4, the installer, it'll just drop everything in clean, no issues. Same thing with the Rage plugin. The one things that I don't use is I immediately delete the SDK because that's for developers, and I delete the licenses. All you're going to do then from there, after point 4 is installed, you're just going to Control A, and you're literally just going to drop them right into the root folder. Every single one of these. If it asks you to overwrite anything, click yes. And then script hook is going to be another one that there's nothing that's going to conflict. You can use this native trainer here. It's on F4, but that's also the same button that is on your console. So make sure, actually there is no INI, so I don't know if there's a way to actually change this button. I don't use it. It's a very plain basic trainer. Um, it doesn't give you a lot of the options that most trainers do, so I just delete it. And again, drop both of these right into the root. So once you are on your basic, you have everything set up, you have everything installed, you can go forward and be very careful with what you're going to put into here. My suggestion would be come to your root folder and you have the rage plugin.exe. I would make a shortcut of that by right clicking it, go down to create shortcut. It should drop a shortcut right below here. From there, I would drag that over to your desktop. That way you don't have to keep going back into this folder. The other thing I do as well is I have a shortcut that brings me right to here. I do mod this game a lot. So I am accessing this file quite often. If you really don't know what you're doing or you don't want to really mod the hell out of it, you don't necessarily have to do that, but for simplicity, it's easier. Um, so once you run it, it's going to run you through the series of startup stuff. All right, so once you get through everything, it'll bring you to the settings window. You can disable permanently the version text rendering if you want. Basically what it does is it pops up here in the bottom when you're playing that that it's Rage plugin hook 0.064, whatever the hell it is. If you hit the start button or the hit P on your keyboard, it'll pop up. If you're in the console, it'll pop up. They do ask that you're using an alpha software if you're recording. What I would suggest doing too is I would suggest go to the plugins section, and I always do load these plugins instead of doing load all plugins, because this way I can come back in, you can change it, whatever. I can come back in and let's say I have a feeling that cop holster isn't working. I can uncheck it to see if I'm having any kind of weird crashes. Obviously it does work, so I'm going to leave it on. I would go then to the game settings, go to the command line switches, and make sure you click or check borderless window. You don't ever want the game to start in full screen because it just doesn't work right. I don't know if there's a glitch with Rage plugin or with it going back and forth with GTA. For whatever reason, full screen doesn't work. You lose a shitload of FPS from it. It's just not worth it. From there, I would hit save and launch and let the thing go through its normal deal. All right, so you're going to see it in the bottom right. It's going to say loading LSPDFR. It already loaded me into my character. What it's going to do when you load in for the first time, it's going to take you to like the GTA Online section where you would create your character in a sense. So once you get through that, it's going to drop you into the police department. For me, it automatically puts me, like I said, into my character. You know, no more loading in as Michael or Franklin or Trevor. And I'm actually already on duty. So you don't even have to do that. It just starts going. As you can hear, my radio starting to go off. You know, the only thing I have yet to figure out, and maybe someone watching this is actually, you know, they know how to do this, so maybe they can help me. I don't know how to change departments. So right now, it always says that I'm on duty as LSPD, and that isn't always what I want to do. Most of the time, I actually don't ever patrol down in the city. So once you get through here and you're on duty, you know at least the 3 things you just installed work. So let's go back out and I'll kind of walk you guys through the plugins that actually can work for LSPDFR, how to find them, everything else. So if you go back to lcpdfr.com, click on downloads, it's going to bring you to the main page here. So for where all your plugins and your scripts are obviously going to be under the scripts and plugins. The easiest way to do it, if you're looking for a callout, click on script plugin type, click on callout. It'll give you all the callouts that have ever been made and uploaded to LSPDFR. Not all of these are going to work. So you can see here where it says uses LSPDFR API 0.4. That's what you're going to actually search for. So there's 0.4. So you're going to search on that. And all of this stuff is going to work 4.4. So what I use, I actually use all of these other than the Metro Callout 3, uh, Airport Callouts, Assorted Callouts, United, Common, PeterU's, and First Callouts. I would download all of these so that way you have them, you know, somewhere, even if you don't use them all at the same time. I'm just going to download it so that way I can show you guys. All right, so when you're going to go in and install these plugins, obviously you're going to extract them to your desktop. They have usually README files. So he's saying drop the DLL in your Grand Theft Auto /plugins /LSPDFR. And then you're going to drop Airport Callouts, the audio file, and LSPDFR Police Scanner. That part is actually wrong because they changed how it's routed. So if you go LSPDFR, you're going to go audio, and then you're going to have the scanner here. So they say police scanner. So you're going to take this folder and you're going to drop it into there. If I were just to drop that folder into the root of LSPDFR or the root of GTA, it would actually just throw it in here somewhere and it would say police scanner and it would never work. All right, so then you've got your plugins folder. So this is the only one that is a little bit different that you have to be, you know, pay attention to how you're actually installing it. The other ones you can usually just drag and drop. So LSPDFR. So here's where all of your plugins are going to be. So just take this DLL and drop it right in. So we'll go back to the main directory and go back to downloads. So cars still install the same way. You know, you could do ELS still works because the way that everything works is if you go back to your scripts and plugins, and you go to standalone plugin, it doesn't rely on LSPDFR's API to run. So there's a lot of stuff in here that if I just always sort by most downloaded. So there's your ELS, there's your EUP menu. If you want to use the cop holster, you can. The spotlight, you can. If you don't want to use ELS cars, which in my opinion isn't really worth it because everyone develops an ELS car now, you can use the Siren Mastery. There's a tutorial that Elbow does to teach you how to install it. It's simple, it's easy, but that's how you use non-ELS cars but still have the controllable lights like you would with ELS. Clear the Way works on its own. You know, you can search through here, see exactly what you want. The Kiflam replacement, I don't have it, and I've noticed I don't think you need it anymore. I think they went through and changed all that stuff. You know, whatever you need out of this, it's going to download or it's going to install the same way. It's going to have a README. It's going to tell you where to put it. Just make sure you're dropping it in the right area. Now, you have a handful of things that you have to pay attention to, and I'll show you when it comes to this one. Because luckily on the Elbow, all the new Elbow ones, they have included the new Elbow common.dll, but on these, they use the RageNative UI, like so it pops up like the menu style is the same. They have not updated the RageNative UI since February 18th of 2018. So this one has the correct one. You can go ahead and drop that in. If it has a RageNative that is not this date, do not install it. I had so many questions on my last video saying that people would go to log in or, you know, fire up the game and they would crash immediately. It's because your shit is out of date. So I have in the description links to both the brand new Elbow, which is from 225 of 19, and the RageNative UI. If you fuck up and you don't put this in correctly, it's going to crash your game. The RageNative is actually more important than Elbow's common DL because the RageNative will crash your game immediately. Elbow's common.dll won't crash your game, but it will not allow any plugin from him that uses that to start without it being the updated one. It'll actually tell you that your common.dll is out of date. Find it. So I'm going to include both of those in the description so that way you guys can easily get them, even though like Ultimate Backup has it. Use Ultimate Backups. If you download, you know, I highly suggest it because you're going to need it. You're going to want to download, you know, Traffic Policer. You're going to want Arrest Manager, Stop the Ped. You know, this is actually a pretty decent thing to where I can go through and show you guys because these actually use the 0.4 API. So I use pretty much everything that's on here. They have like 5 different people that put in different handcuff sounds. Like last week, it was ridiculous because there was like 4 or 5 different uploads of different handcuff sounds, and it's like, who fucking cares? You know, now with 0.4, now it has handcuff sounds that when you put them on, you hear the clicks, and people felt it was so important to have them. It really wasn't. You know, at least to me, I thought it was pretty fucking stupid. But you know, like your assorted callouts, anything made by Elbow is going to have that. Download them because it makes your game 20 times better, makes it to where you can use the game easier. I would click on your scripts and plugins. I would select point 4. It's going to pop it up as the most recent, and I would go down the list and I would download, unless you don't know how to speak Spanish, I would download everything on here and use everything that's in here. Once you get all that stuff installed, like even like we'll download the police smart radio. So he has it to where there's point 0.2 for Rage 0.51 or higher, or 0.112. Make sure you download the 0.12 or 1.2. That's going to be obviously the newest. Again, like I said, if you look at here's the elbow 1125.common.dll, 225 2019. If I go down to RageNativeUI.DLL, 218 of 2018, it's a must. You have to have them in there. Those first three, LSPDFR, Rage Plugin, Script Hook V, they don't come with it. They don't use it, so don't worry about finding it. It's once you start adding in your plugins, all that other stuff. So I'm going to put a link in the description of how to, in higher, greater detail, install plugins. I made a video on that a couple weeks ago. There's a video how to install cars, both replace and add on. I'll put a link in the description in that. So once you guys get all this stuff done, it's pretty much turn around and you can play it as is, but you got to look at each one of these scripts as far as what do they do, where are they installed, and what are their keybinds. Because you will find that certain things are going to conflict with others, so you're going to have to customize it. Like this ALPR Lite, it was on, I think, like F5 or F6, and it conflicted with something else. So I had to change the key to it, so it's actually on the number pad 5, or the straight key 5. You can find all these keys here. If you come to, just basically take this and, copy and paste it into whatever browser you use, it'll pop up all of Microsoft's keys. So make sure you configure it to what is going to work for you. Don't configure it to me, because it's not going to do you any good. Don't copy off of what I'm doing in a sense, just because of the fact that it's easier. Logically lay out, play the game once without doing anything, and you'll see that, like, hey, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Um, like traffic policer, you can change your call sign. The original call sign's like 1 Lincoln 18. That's factory. So if you hear anybody using 1 Lincoln 18, it's because they didn't bother to look in here and they didn't bother to change anything. You can change your officer's display name, all that other stuff. You can set basically how often you're going to see these different call outs, these different ambient events, all that good shit. You know, Pay attention, read these. It's much, much easier, much different than what you would be used to with point 3, but you'll start seeing a lot of the similarities. If you have point 3 installed and you're using a lot of these, don't drop them in. Don't just, oh, I can just transfer this over. Re-download it, get a fresh install if you have to. Make a folder for point 4 only. Put all of the stuff in there and then move it over. You know, some of the keys have changed. If you have used point 3 and you're using Traffic Policer and you ever use the Mimic, which would actually make the person you're pulling over pretty much mimic what you're doing as you're trying to get them to the side of the road. It used to be Control Q. They changed it to Control R. The way that they worded things has changed, so they won't line back up properly. So it's just easier if you redo it. You can use your other one to go through and change any of your custom controls, any of that stuff, um, now it's left control R for the Mimic, or, custom pullover is W. They didn't even put oh, they did actually put a modifier. It is left control. I don't usually ever use it. I use the Mimic. So pay attention to that. Modify it to how you want, and remember, it is your game. You know, make it your own, because it just adds that much more to the actual immersion, everything else. As you can see, I have quite a bit of shit here. I have as much as you can put in point 4, as it is. So until they come out with more stuff, which I'm sure within the next couple weeks, more things are going to come out. It's going to make it much better. It's going to make it easier. Again, as usual, if you guys have any questions, if you have any problems, I can't go on and mod your game for you, but I can attempt to answer as best as I can. Just pay attention to the basic stuff, especially when it comes to adding plugins. Make sure you're paying attention to that Rage Native UI and the Elbow 1125 common. If you guys do that, you'll have no problems. I fire up LSPDFR every single time. It works flawlessly. Occasionally you'll get a weird hiccup and, LSPDFR will crash. 99% of the time it's due to a plugin that you put in. LSPDFR is pretty stable. If you just run it base, you'll never have a crash. So it's once you start adding and modding things, it could not even be your install. It could be the developer. Maybe he forgot to do something. If you can pinpoint it and figure out which one's wrong, then you can talk to the developer and say, hey, I found this issue. He's probably going to ask for your rage logs, all that other stuff. But don't blame LSPDFR, and don't always quick to blame the developers if you fucked something up on the install. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try and help you as best as I can. My contact info is in the description. You can contact me here. I also put in my Discord. You can always instant message me there. But other than that, have fun modding, and I'll talk to you guys later.